how's it going? It's me, Betty Jean. Today's video is going to be ranking my Blend Bunny palettes. I actually don't know if I've ever done a Blend Bunny ranking, but I feel like now's the time. I have 12 palettes, 12 if you're counting the quad, and I'm gonna rank them all for you. This was so incredibly difficult. Blend Bunny is one of my top favorite brands of all time. I do not own a single thing from the brand that I do not like. It was so easy for me to figure out what my top 5 were, but putting 6 of them in the bottom, so to speak, was so difficult because I truly don't have a problem with any palettes. I guess favor some more than others, obviously. Like I have some that are without a shadow of a doubt top favorites, but putting things in the bottom was the most difficult thing because I don't dislike any. Even the one in last place, I don't dislike. I just gravitate toward the other things more. But this is such a top tier brand. I feel like their formulas are so good. The shimmers have just gotten better and better over the years. The mattes have always been staple, amazing, tried and true blendable mattes from the beginning. Their color stories are so great. They're so aesthetically pleasing. The themes are so cool. And I just adore this brand with every fiber of my being. And I felt it time to do a ranking. I did also want to do a quick shout out because I'm sure I will get comparison questions. I feel like in general, Blend Bunny does such a good job at not repeating themselves. Every time they come out with something new, they're adding new undertones, new shade variations, all sorts of great stuff. But if you need some really awesome top tier comparisons, Deandra Nicole on Instagram, every time there's a new Blend Bunny launch, she is posting comparison swatches with popular shade requests from previous palettes. So I highly recommend checking out Deandra. She is the swatch queen. I love her with my whole heart, and she is the place to go if you want to see very specific side-by-side comparisons with different shades. Before we hop into the video itself, I did of course film this look. It should already be up on my Instagram and YouTube shorts by the time this video goes up. And as far as my accessories go, this is just an old basic choker and these earrings are from Spooky Doodle Club. So yeah, without further ado, let's just hop in and rank my Blend Bunny palettes. I did want to start with an honorable mention. I'm not going to include the Trove Quad in the official ranking just because I just felt like it was in such a different category, you know, but it is beautiful. Look how pretty she is. She's amazing. She has so many pretty shifts and shines, and it's gorgeous and wonderful, and the formula is beautiful. It's so metallic and delicious, and this is an amazing quad. Such beautiful shadows. If you're looking for just like a little cutie of multi-chromes that are super high quality, I think this is amazing, but I didn't want to include it in the official ranking because I just didn't think it'd be fair. So really kicking it off with number 11, and again, this pains me to put it as number 11 because it's not a bad palette. This was the OG absolute staple. It is so good, but everything else, I feel like the brand has just outdone themselves ever since this palette, which I feel like is personally a good thing. I gave the 11th slot to the original Blends palette. This was their first palette. They knocked it out of the park right from the get-go. But like I said, I truly think they've just like surpassed themselves and done themselves better and better every time since this release. It looks like this. She's amazing. My yellow is a little broken, but she's so beautiful. Just such a classic staple all matte rainbow palette. We have such a beautiful gradient. This is just a classic staple. It is so beautiful. Again, it's what started the brand's success, and they really knocked it out of the park right from the get-go. Amazing formulas, aesthetically pleasing. This is such a well-loved palette, and for good reason. But like I said, they've just done better and better ever since. So this one, I feel like I had no choice but to put in the bottom. I also love shimmer, so I'm more likely to favor things that have shimmers over all mattes, but that's just personal preference. Ranked number 10, I'm gonna give it to the sister of the Blends palette, actually. This is the Primal palette, and unfortunately this one got discontinued, which breaks my heart because I feel like this has what the Blends palette has, but with like new tones, new shades, new vibes going on. And this one has shimmers as well. She looks like this. She's so cute. The like indigo-y, bluey purple row fuels my soul. I love these pinks here. Like this soft pink at the top is so good. There are so many beautiful things in this palette. They have beautiful shimmers in here, which they have improved their shimmers since this vibe. Like I feel like they were doing good shimmers in the beginning, but they have gone such a different direction. Everything is so sparkly and iridescent now, whereas these were more like thicker metallic, but they were still good. Not that it matters because this isn't available anymore. But overall, I loved this palette. I feel like this filled in the gaps of what the Blends palette had, but added so much newness, added so many cool undertones. I loved the vibes that were in here. This one makes me really happy. But alas, the other color stories just speak to me more For the most part, rainbow palettes aren't my top favorite. I do prefer more of a curated color story, but I do think this is a solid palette. Moving on now to number 9, I gave it to the All Done Up palette. This is such a cute palette. I actually thought in my soul this would get ranked higher. It was really hard to pick, guys. I feel like 6, 7, 8, and 9, I probably could have moved in a variety of different ways, but I landed on this one. All Done Up is their smallest palette, I believe, and it's just such a cutie. This is the perfect neutrals with a twist vibe. It is grungy vibes. I love these muted kind of fall grungy tones. This has the beautiful sparkly iridescent shimmers. This is such a well done palette. Like, I'm not generally a neutral girly, and this is what I want if I'm gonna play with neutrals. We have like neutral green, mustard yellow, this gingerbready brown. It's all so grungy, so beautiful. Again, we have that lovely gradient going on. This is such a cutie. Moving on to number 8. Are we on number 8? I think so. I'm giving it to the other neutral palette with a twist. I thought All Done Up might get ranked above this one, but I just have so much love for the Dollhouse palette. I had no choice but to rank it higher. This was, I believe, their like 3rd or 4th launch ever, and it's so good. These shimmers are beautiful. Again, these ones are a little bit more of like the thicker metallic. We do have a little bit of iridescent vibes at the top. These shimmers were good, but they definitely have improved. But this color story is just so cool. It's like grungy garden, very romantic, neutrals with a twist. I love just these different tones all playing together. It is so aesthetically pleasing and just so beautiful. I love this weird yellowy green row, the soft purples, the pinks. It is delicious. I've taken this one traveling with me. I think it's so, so pretty. I was so, so excited about this when it launched. It was kind of their first take at like a neutral vibe, which I'm glad that they don't typically lean toward that because I'm not a neutral girly, but this was kind of their first dip into that realm, and I feel like they did such a good job with it because it's very much like creative neutrals. We have colors and different tones to play with. It is so beautiful. I just love the light to dark. It is all so wonderful. Moving on now to number 7, I decided to give it to the Ellis Atlantis palette. This was their most recent collab. I think their only collab, actually. Yeah, this is their only collab, and they did so good. This palette is a full-on table. It is ginormous. This is by far their largest palette. It is humongous. I'll be honest, I don't typically vibe with palettes this large. It's just a little much. It's a lot going on, but I can't deny how perfect this is. Like, if you are looking for the ultimate rainbow palette, it truly is this one. We have such a variety of tones. Like, we have kind of this warmer half and the cooler half, every color of the rainbow, the perfect gradient of light to dark. We have beautiful iridescent shimmers in the middle. We have this striking silver. It's amazing. We even have like the classic row of like grayscale into brown at the bottom. This really is like a one-stop shop. There's neons, there's grunge, there's pastel, so many cool things. I think it's so aesthetically pleasing. And even though I don't typically favor palettes that are this big, I can't deny just truly how wonderful this palette is. So I did want to rank it up as high as I could, but the top 6 I do just genuinely love more. Like, they have just more of a curated specific vibe and a specific color story outside of rainbow. But this really is a top tier rainbow palette, probably the most ultimate rainbow palette there ever was. Moving on now to number 6, I'm giving it to the Sickly Sweet. This is probably one of my top favorite pastel palettes. I know I did a pastel palette ranking earlier this year, and I want to say this was this like 2nd or 3rd place? Was it 1st place? I don't remember. That feels like a million years ago, but this was ranked very highly nonetheless. This is what I personally look for in a pastel palette. I love when pastels not only are riddled with beautiful, but pigmented pastels. These don't just look like powdery nothingness on the skin. They appear so vibrant, yet remain that pastel vibe, but there's matching shimmers for everything, and we have pops of depth. My pastel palettes need pops of depth, in my opinion, and I don't really want to see just like a black. A black can have a place in a pastel palette for sure, but I feel like a misconception is a black will just deepen anything up. Not when it comes to pastels. Pastels are very white-based, so if you mix a black with a pastel, a lot of the times it's just going to turn gray. But this has depth in color form. Like we have a dark blue, like this brown, this dark teal, the dark purples. These are gonna help deepen up and add interest to your looks while still giving you an overall pastel vibe. I think it's so cool. This was also their first time doing kind of a scattered color story, and this drove people insane, which is so wild and funny to me because most palettes don't do things in a gradient. Most of the time things are a little scattered. It doesn't bother me at all. If anything, it helps you kind of like visualize and see random color combos you might not have thought of otherwise. I don't really care if it's in a gradient or if it's scattered. It's beautiful, it's amazing. These shimmers are insane. They're so pretty and sparkly, and everything in this palette is top tier. I love the weird funky undertones. Such a cool pastel palette. But now, moving on to the top 5, I love these. Like, these are my top 5 favorites from the brand that they've ever done, and I love them with my whole heart. Number 5 is gonna be Sugar and Grunge. Unfortunately, this recently got discontinued because somebody, I don't even know who, some brand out there trademarked the word grunge or is trying to trademark the word grunge. It's like a whole joke online now. Anytime I see like Blend Bunny posts where people are referencing this palette, they put like a little like asterisk in the word grunge, so it's not like the full-on written word. It is so funny. She's mentioned maybe bringing this back under a different name, under a different theme, or maybe just including shades from this palette into future releases. I don't think she's sure what she's gonna do yet, but this was an amazing launch. There was no reason that it should have gotten cut so soon, but unfortunately it is what it is. But I'm so happy that I have this. It is so good. I love the combination of like cutesy pastels with like a grungy twist. I love seeing just like all these deep tones. Again, we have the beautiful gradient, but we have like weirdness. Like I love the weird teals and the weird greens and like the weird raspberry pinks. It's such a fun, interesting combination. I feel like you really do get like cutesy vibes meets grungy vibes. I feel like it kind of coincides with the pastel goth sort of thing, but with a Blend Bunny twist. I feel like this is very unique, very interesting. Again, the shimmers are gorgeous, so sparkly, so insane. They are so pretty. I love this palette. I think it is so fun. So many fun color combos. This one's a cutie. Gone but never forgotten. Number 4, I am so excited about this one. It's what I'm wearing today. This is their newest palette, and part of me even wanted to rank this potentially number 3, but I feel like since it's still so new, I couldn't take away the 3rd place slot just yet. I feel like I'm very certain about my top 3, but this one definitely deserves to be at the minimum number 4 because I'm so into it. It is the Longing palette. It's so pretty, and like the textures on this palette are so just gorgeous. Such a beautiful presentation. Look at this. Every time I look at this, I get so excited again. This is so beautiful. The shimmers that are in here are incredible. They are so just glistening like diamonds on the eyes. It is so pretty. And I just love this color story. It's so funny. When this first got revealed, I was like, this gives me like whimsical tea party with a little bit of grunge. And then when I read the caption, she was going for kind of like a tea party sort of vibe. And I was like, wow, you nailed it. It's just so pretty. It's whimsical and fairy-like, but also romantic, but also kind of grungy. It is just such a good color combo. I love these colors together. I love the grays with these kind of muted purples, the different teals. I love teal so much. I love these grungy brownish yellows with the cool tone browns. It is so good. This launch makes me so happy. I am so incredibly excited about it. The shifts in these shimmers are everything. This is like one of the best palettes, like right out the get-go. I think it's incredible. This color story is so cool. And I love seeing things like this from the brand. I love seeing like very specific curated color stories, but still in the Blend Bunny fashion. We still have that light to deep. We have these amazing formulas. We have the Blend Bunny touch, but with a very specific curated vibe. And this is just so beautiful. Next up, number 3. This one used to be my number 1 favorite palette from them, but as time has gone on, they've grown and improved. And while I still hold so much love for this one, it's not quite number 1 anymore, but I still wanted to give it the 3rd place slot. This is the Surge palette. This was actually my first palette from the brand. This was their 2nd release ever. I didn't buy the original blends when it first launched, but then when the Surge came out, I was all over it. So I bought it, I loved it, and then I formed a relationship with the brand, and now I get PR, which is amazing because they're one of my favorites. But the Surge is so good. Unfortunately, this one got discontinued because some of the like ingredients with the neons in here I think aren't available anymore. So I think she's gonna work on like redoing it in the future or something. I'm not quite sure, but unfortunately this one's not available. And it breaks my heart because it's so good, but I'm excited to see like what they do in the future. The Surge is such a vibe. I have taken this traveling with me many times. I've used this so much. I love the dusty pastels, the rich, vibrant shades, all these dark, grungy, deep tones. We have the shimmers and we have the neons. I love colorful grunge. I love colorful, grungy vibes, pops of neon. This is so cool. The muted pastels just make this so beautiful. This was their first time doing shimmers as well, because like I said, this was their second palette ever. The original blends didn't have shimmers. And again, they've definitely improved upon their shimmers since then. Like the shimmers they do now are not even in the same ballpark as what they used to do, but I still liked them at the time. I think they're pretty. They have a really nice metallic kind of nature to them, but being that this palette got discontinued, I'd love to see them bring this back in like a revamped version with the formula of shimmers that they use now. I think that would be such a fun move, but I just love this palette. This is so cool. It was so eye-catching. I remember gasping when I saw the reveal for this palette. It made me want to buy it instantly. It is just such a good one, and I'm so glad this exists because it introduced me to the brand, got me super excited, and now they're one of my favorite brands of all time, so this was such a good one. I will always hold this near and dear to my heart. Moving on now to number 2. As soon as this palette came out, I knew this was gonna become a favorite. Unfortunately, I think this one is in the process of getting discontinued. If it's still available, jump on it now. It's already a reduced price if it's still available, and I think you can stack codes on top of it. But if this palette appeals to you, jump on it now because it will not be here forever. It's the Machina palette. This is so cool. She'd created this with her dad, and I think this is such a fun vibe. It's kind of like a machine meets humanity. Like we have kind of the living side over here and then the robot side over here. And it's just so cool. I love this color story. It's such a weird combo. I love seeing these rich, vibrant purples next to these orangey corals, next to the weird yellowy greens. It is so pleasing to the eye. This shade right here, I love it. I love it so much. The shimmers are sparkly and beautiful. And it makes me sad that this one isn't gonna be around forever, but it's still gonna be one of my favorites for probably until further notice. I just think it's such a cool color story. I love the mixture of bright and grunge. This feels like it could be Surge's cousin, you know? There's some similarities there with the depth and the vibrancy, and it's just so cool. I think this is such a well-made palette. I think this one deserves to be more people's favorites, honestly, and I just love it. I think it's so cool and unique and exciting. And last but not least, ranked number 1. This will not surprise anyone. I knew immediately what number 1 was gonna be. I'm pretty sure this became my favorite ever since it launched, if I'm being honest. It's the Lure palette. It is so good. This is kind of like a dark mermaid sort of vibe. Look how cool. I feel like this is when their shimmers got really, really good. Like everything became so sparkly and exciting. This was actually the same launch that Trove came out. They're kind of like meant to be like together, but this is just so good. I love the dark mermaid sort of theme, the blues, purples, pinks, teals. These are like my favorite colors to use together, and I love just like the rich grungy depth at the bottom. And again, we have like the pastels and then vibrant midtones, the shimmers. It is just everything. This is such a fun launch. I love how it's such a specific theme, such a specific color story. It is so cool. I love this. I love this so much. I would almost love for the brand to do more of this with like mythical vibes. Like give me a fae palette, give me like a swamp monster, like give me like weird creatures. I feel like that would be really cool. Like same kind of size, but all different like beings. I think that would be really fun. Thank you, please and thank you. I would love to see that. And yeah, that is all of my Blend Bunny palettes ranked. I had so much fun. This was kind of difficult to like form my thoughts and then do all of the palm swatches for, because these are a lot of palettes, a lot of shades in each palette, but I'm really excited about it. Again, this is one of my absolute favorite brands ever, and I think they just deserve all the love in the world. Maggie, the owner, does such a great job, and oh, I just love them. I would love to hear your thoughts. Do you kind of agree with my ranking? Do we have similar tastes? How would you rank your palettes? If you have any, feel free to rank them all down below. What is your number 1 favorite? What else would you love to see from the brand? I would love to hear it all. If you made it to the end of this video, why don't you leave? You know, think of your favorite Blend Bunny palette or the favorite that I showcased today and leave emojis that kind of represent that. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Helps my channel out a lot. And if you're not already, you can follow me over on Instagram. I'm BATTYBEAN there as well. And also you can subscribe. I'm posting most days over here. And if you want to, you can join my channel memberships. The link to sign up will be down below. You'll get fun little perks, including a members only video once a month. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Okay, bye.